Friends, countrymen and Indians, I am Captain S.S. Panesar, former Director of Flight Safety and Training from erstwhile Indian Airlines. I was also Regional Director of South in Indian Airlines. I have also been on deputation to Deputy Director General of Civil Aviation as a Senior Flight Inspector. I have flown almost for 35 years and logged about 25,000 hours of flying. Started flying on the DC-3 Fokker Friendship, Boeing 737 Classic and the Airbus A300, where I have acted as instructor examiner on all these aircraft and trained even Air Force cadets while I was in Delhi Flying Club after the Chinese aggression. Today, a time has come for us to discuss the situation of aviation in India, how it is coming in the hands of people who have no experience to handle aviation. I was shocked to see I'll start from the latest draft bill which the government has, Ministry of Civil Aviation promulgated, the known as Draft Aircraft Bill 2023 for public consultation. Yes, for public consultation. And they give you only time of 30 days to give your opinions and objections. And I have seen few of the clauses in this draft which clearly points to the dictatorial attitude of these bureaucrats, inexperienced people who are going to head the Director General of Civil Aviation, Director General Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, Director General Aircraft Accident and Investigation Board. Shocking. They say the government can appoint, after a committee decides anybody as a bureaucrat in these organizations, whether he has any experience of aviation industry or not. That is not the concern of the government. They have appointed, in the recent past I have seen, they have appointed one Director General of Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. That lady, she does not have any experience of investigation of accident. She has never flown any aircraft. I don't think she has known the head and tail of an aircraft. Nor do you expect her to give judgment about any investigation of incident and accident? Can she counsel the high-tech pilots? No. But this is the state of it. They can do anything. Another shocking clause in this bill is, they say the government can fine any person for violation as a penalty for flying so as to cause danger. And they can punish the person for a jail which may extend to 2 years or a fine which amounts to 1 crore, which is a clear indication that when monetary is involved, it involves the corruption. This amount can be compromised by the person who is going to fine them. Having no experience, it is not mentioned for which crime or all that they are going to fine that. It is just whims and fancy of the person from Director General Civil Aviation, Ministry or Director of the Aircraft Accident Investigation Board. They can fine you up to 1 crore. I think the Flying Club boys should be ready to have that much of fund in case they violate any clause, to pay 1 crore of fine. This is a clear state where they legalizing the corruption by fining a person up to 1 crore. Not mentioning for what crime they are going to fine them and how much amount. Whether for small amount, small crime is also 1 crore or not. This is the shocking clauses, and I think the professionals and the honest people have to rise to the occasion and recommend to the government that these bills, if they are promulgated, they are going to increase the corruption and the whims and fancy of the Director General to fine as much money he likes it. I will give an example of this. In one of the incidents, where a pilot was flying from Chandigarh to Leh, and there was an Indian Air Force officer pilot, lady pilot. She was flying from Chandigarh to Leh. She was in uniform. She had her ID card displayed on her chest, and also she had the ID card shown to the captain. And captain permitted her to come to the cockpit. And she has been flying in the Leh area as a helicopter pilot. Everything was normal, flight landed normally and all that. However, it was reported by a cabin crew or somebody that the pilot has allowed one person in the cockpit. Now, the moment the Air India realized this, what they did, they put the captain off flying for 6 months and the co-pilot for 1 month. And they informed the DGCA. DGCA were very happy and pleased with the Air India that we are not going to fine you for this crime because you reported us within the time limit. However, the Director General of Civil Aviation, who had never flown any aircraft, has no knowledge of aviation, he enhances the punishment of a pilot from 6 months to 12 months. He suspends his license for 12 months. May I ask the Honorable Director General of Civil Aviation what study he has done, what investigation they have carried out, and on what basis is a psychologist that he decided that 12 months suspension of license will improve the safety and security? Instead of telling the pilot, counseling the pilot, calling him for proper investigation, and then after the issuing a show cause notice, then charge sheet, then punish the license. But they make the rule and they break the rule also. They have made one rule book known as Enforcement Policy and Procedures and Manual. In that it is very clearly stated, in case of any incident and accident, the concerned officer who has power of suspension shall determine the appropriate duration of suspension on the basis of the recommendation of the investigator. Did you carry out the investigation by professionals? Were the people, witnesses involved in the investigation who were the witnesses in the aircraft? In order to meet the ends of natural justice, a notice of suspension to the alleged offender shall be required to be issued. The charge is required to be mentioned in the notice and appropriate time should be given to submit its explanation. The standard format for show cause notice is also given. The notice shall contain a clear description of the offence and sufficient details of the contravention as per the rule. What rule he has violated? Sure, you explain them, satisfy him. After you are not satisfied with the show cause notice, you charge sheet him. Then you suspect. But today, DGCA, these babus, they are so experienced and they become dictatorial attitude. They straightway enhance the punishment to 12 months. Was it recommended by the investigation? I would like to know when the investigation was carried, who all investigated? Did they have experience? Any person from the security organization of DGCA was involved? Did they involve the witnesses? The pilot whom we are given the authority of safety and security of operation of a flight, you may say once he is satisfied, he can't call. As per their own AIC, it says the government official above the rank of Joint Secretary can enter the cockpit. Nobody, unauthorized person without the permission of DGCA can enter inside. Do you expect the pilot to send a message from Chandigarh to DGCA that I want an Air Force officer to come in the cockpit? He has no authority. You have given the responsibility of the safety and security of the passenger and you don't trust him. Will any pilot invite anybody without knowing the antecedents of a person in the cockpit? Nobody today does all these things. However, the DGCA has taken, in my opinion, it would have been much better if the DGCA decided that this pilot should be off the roster for a few days, counsel him, teach him the regulation. Maybe he is not aware of the regulation. Teach him the rules and regulation, and after he is satisfied, you put him back on flying. What have you gained by suspending the license for 1 year, which is a capital punishment? How have you suspended the license without issuing charge sheet? And I believe another agency has come in. I have heard a talk that even the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security has also issued a notice to the Air Force pilot that how you dare to enter in the cockpit. They are complicating the issue for no reason. The flight was very safe, no untoward incident took place. Of course, they have issued a circular, nobody to enter in the cockpit without the proper authority and all that, from permission from the Director General of Civil Aviation. I agree with that. But the pilot has no authority to satisfy himself. The person who is going to be invited in the cockpit is a genuine person. Indian Air Force pilot, you don't trust the Indian Air Force pilot, how do you expect the security of this country by the armed forces? Shocking. Another thing I tell you, they start imposing the penalties. There was one case where one passenger flying from New York to Delhi in a business class, he urinated on an old lady. Anyway, the thing was sorted. The cabin crew, when they came to know, they sorted out the issue and he apologized, and some money was also, I believe, paid to the lady and all that. However, after landing, the chief supervisor in the cabin crew has reported the incident, which was countersigned by the commander of the flight. Commander during the flight cannot come back into the cabin and sort out the problems and all that. However, this complaint, when it reached Air India, they decided to take action, and in the meantime they informed the DGCA. DGCA said, since you are informed beyond the time limit, they fined them 30 lakhs. And they suspended the license of pilot for 3 months. May I ask one simple question? Sir, what investigation was carried out? How have you suspended the license? Under what rules and regulations suspended the license of pilot for 3 months and you have fined Air India for 30 lakhs? Now they are revising that amount to 1 crore. If it would have happened today, after this bill is passed, they will fine Air India 1 crore. They could even fine 30 crore because Air India is capable of paying that money. Now that lady, after landing, reported the case to the police and the case became in the court. The person urinated, was arrested, and he was sent on bail. The case is still pending in the District Court of Delhi. And the pilot's license was endorsed for suspension for 3 months. What has happened? DGCA, of their own whims and fancies, without any decision of an inquiry committee or investigators or recommendation, they suspend the license and they can find anything. I requested DGCA under RTA Act 2005 to give me the details of investigation and rules and regulations of Indian Aircraft Act, under which you have fined the pilot airline 30 lakhs. Promptly I got a reply that please refer to AIC number so and so. As per that way, I checked up that AIC, there is no mention of any fine or suspension of a license of a pilot. I appealed to the first appellate officer. He said, no, we cannot give a list of no-fly list of passengers. I said, I never asked for it. Why are you telling me lie? You see my request, what I have asked you. I have simply asked you, give me the rules and regulations under which you suspended the license of a pilot. And you have fined airline 30, why not 50 lakh? Why not 10 lakh? In my opinion, there is a strong opinion that there must be a corruption. They could have fined more money, but they must have compromised to 30 lakhs with Air India. These are the incidents taking place today. And I think we have to rise to occasion to stop this practice by these babus. I would like to quote you the recording of our earlier former Minister of Civil Aviation, Hardeep Singh Puri. In one of the press conference, he was discussing these bureaucrats. ये पढ़े लिखे बेवकूफ हैं, and they are the country and they disgrace to the country. I will show you now. You see the recording of Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation.
ये जो 60 हमारे पढ़े लिखे मूर्ख हैं, उन्होंने ये लिखा है. इनके बारे में बताता हूं आपको. इन्होंने कहा कि ये लेट मी जस्ट टेल यू, उन्होंने कहा कि ये जो नया पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग इसलिए बनाई जा रही है, आई विल रीड दिस आउट टू यू. द फॉर्मर सिविल सर्वेंट्स इन द लेटर ऑल्सो स्टेट, एंड दिस इज विद इन कोट, दिस प्रोजेक्ट बिगैन इफ रिपोर्ट्स आर टू बी बिलीव्ड. पहले तो अगर 40 साल का आपका तजर्बा हो और अनुभव हो, then you don't write on reports which are to be believed. क्या लिखते हैं? Because of a superstitious belief that the present building, parliament building, is unlucky, as well as with the thought of leaving a particular government and its leaders impressed on the architecture of Delhi. अरे भाई, आप उस समय कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी थे जिन्होंने ये साइन किया. ये आपकी उस समय 2012 में कहा कि नई पार्लियामेंट की जरूरत है, तो 2021 में कहा ना कि ये पार्लियामेंट इसलिए बनाई जा रही है बिकॉज देयर इज अ सुपरस्टिशियस बिलीफ. ये पढ़े लिखे मूर्ख नहीं है, दे आर अ डिसग्रेस टू द कंट्री. I would not put my signature on a letter like this which talks about a superstitious belief.
Not only that, even our Honorable Prime Minister, has said in the Parliament of India that can Babus do everything? PM makes strong privatization pitch. Can Babus make it? And further he says, Prime Minister says, what type of capability have we acquired by handing over the country to Babus? Just like our Babus, our youth are also citizens of the country. The more opportunity we give them, the more the country will benefit. But the Babus will not learn even from the advice of Prime Minister. So these things we have to stop immediately. It enhances the corruption in the country, professional corruption. Today, I can assure you in DGCA, they don't have competent people to investigate accident of high-tech aircraft. I wrote a letter under RT Act also, and they don't give proper information. They keep dilly-dallying for months and months because they know the maximum you can go to Central Information Commission, which will take 2 to 3 years to hear your petition. Now, I will quote you a few incidents where the DGCA is acting like a dictator without any experience. They have appointed Director General of Aircraft Accident Investigation Board. That lady is accounts lady. She has never seen any aircraft. She has never flown any aircraft. She has no technical experience, no aviation experience. She is going to give judgment about the accident. She is going to investigate. She is going to counsel the high-tech pilots. You can well imagine the state of affairs of investigation of incident and accident. Another case, Air India Express flight from Dubai to Kozhikode. While landing, he found the weather was very bad. It was raining, low clouds. He made 2 attempts. He couldn't land over. He carried a missed approach. On the 3rd attempt, he landed after leaving 3,700 feet of the runway. He couldn't stop the aircraft on the runway. The aircraft went off the hill and went into a ditch, broken into pieces. Pilots died, 20 people died, and 107 people were injured. It happened in the evening at 7:30 p.m. and by 10 o'clock, all the bodies and injured passengers were taken out to the hospital, and the area was cordoned off by the district magistrate of Calicut. 2 people entered in the cockpit with the rods and torches. They are searching something. What they were searching is surprise, which I have unreliable news, not unreliable, reliable news you can say. There were gold coming and it was in the toilets. They were searching for the gold. We requested to the Secretary of Civil Aviation, sir, give this investigation to the judicial, let there be judicial inquiry. Secretary said, no, the government has decided not to do that. And they appointed 2-3 people from DGCA or from one pilot from Jet Airways who have never done any investigation in their lifetime. They gave a report in 280 pages about this crash, which that report could have been given only 5 pages. However, after that report came, I got a copy of that report through RTA Act. Then after a few months, they said the government has decided to appoint a high-level committee to be headed by the Secretary of Civil Aviation, and he'll be the chairman, and the vice chairman will be former Chief of Air Staff, Fali Major. And the members will be DGCA and 3 members from the Airport Authority of India. Well, very good. They formed this committee to monitor the implementation of the recommendation of the crash inquiry. Can you believe it? All these people have never flown any aircraft. They have knowledge of aircraft. They do not know anything about aviation. And they gave an implementation report in 541 pages. You can imagine their patience. The secretary, has he read all the pages? Can he swear that he read the pages and then signed the report? And what implementation they are giving it? I'll give implementation in 2 to 3 pages. 541 pages. Probably they showed their knowledge. These airport authority people must have shown their college knowledge and all the experience in the airport authority. And none of them have flown any aircraft. In that report, I also came to know they carried out some exercise with category D and E aircraft landing at Calicut. Can you believe it? The Boeing 737 does not come in that category. It comes in category C. Category D and E with the landing speed is more than 161 knots, 166 knots. If this is the state of affairs of investigation and punishing the pilots for no rhyme or reason. Let me tell you, pilots are very dedicated, honest people. They do work, they save the money for the airline by saving fuel, cutting short the route, doing good landing, happy flying. They save the money and they want to punish them without any rhyme or reason. You justify the reason for suspension of license. No, that report, 541 pages, please give it to anybody. No one is going to read that 541 pages. And I assure you, the members, especially the Director General of Civil Aviation and the former Chief of Navy Air Force, please let them come and give a statement under oath that they have seen the report and then they have signed it. And they are justified to give those recommendations for limitation. And what happened after the report is given? As the limitations have been implemented, they are not aware of it. This is the state of affairs in our Indian aviation. And you expect the aviation is very safe in this airline, in the country. I tell you, quote you few incidents in the past. One incident took place in 1991 in Bangalore. On 320 was crashed there on landing from Bombay to Bangalore. Indian Airline had ordered 20 brand new fly-by-wire latest technology aircraft from Airbus industry, and one aircraft was flying from Bombay to Bangalore and it crashed on landing at Bangalore. Almost 92 people were killed and out of 146 passengers, and the investigation was ordered. However, the government of India decided at that time to ground the aircraft for due safety reasons. Airbus industry said, let us wait for the inquiry report, what it says. But the Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation then, that time, he said, no, I'm grounding this airline, grounding this aircraft for almost 6 to 8 months. When it was flying all over the world. We grounded the 19 Airbus 320s for almost 6 to 8 months. Now you can imagine the amount of loan money, interest money, parking charges, running up the engines every day, and salary of the pilots who were grounded for not flying 320. How many Indian Airline could not raise its head after that crash and after the grounding of this aircraft. Now the shocking and the joke of the day is, after 6 months when the Kuwait war took place, the same Honorable Minister said, please fly these 320 to bring the refugees from Amman and Kuwait. How this aircraft has become safe after 6 to 8 months? What investigation they have done it? It is clearly understood the grounding of the aircraft was the reason other than the administrative. There were no safety violations. The inquiry report of the judge, however, said it was the pilot's mistake who had not full knowledge of the computer and he could have gone around, but he made a mistake. That was the reason. But the aircraft is safe. It is the most safest aircraft flying today all over the world. Maximum 320s are flying all over the world. Can you imagine Indigo has ordered latest 500 aircraft? Is it so unsafe they are ordering 500 aircraft? Are they all right? They should have consulted the then Minister of Civil Aviation whether it is safe or not. These things are happening in our aviation and nobody is answerable to these things. Because in the Ministry of Civil Aviation and the Director General of Civil Aviation, they do not have professionals. I took up an issue, I found out there are people from Ministry of Communication, they take exam of the young pilots for radio telephone license. And I asked them, okay, what experience you have to take their examination and ask the question, because I found they're asking stupid questions. Draw the diagram of satellite, draw the diagram of diode, triode. What a pilot has to do with diode and triode? You should ask him only how to operate an RT, how to give emergency signal, how to handle emergency situation, how to talk to ATC, how to explain the emergency to ATC. But they ask him such difficult questions and they fail them 3 to 4 times. When I requested them, give me the qualification examiner, they were not answering till I have to go to the Central Information Commission, and the commissioner ordered them to give reply to my query within 15 days, otherwise he's going to fine them. Promptly I get a reply that these examiners have no experience of handling radio telephony on board the aircraft. Now this is the state of affairs. These are people who are examining. I wrote a letter to Honorable Minister of Communication also. How these incompetent people are taking exam of the pilots for operation of RT on board the aircraft, because without that license, you cannot get flight radio telephone operator license to be issued by the DGCA. After all this protest and few more agency, Indian Federation of Pilots also objected against this. Now they have decided henceforth the radio telephone exam will be conducted by the professionals from DGCA. They have a flight inspection directorate considering the pilots from any airline who are flying all the high-tech aircraft, and they are going to examine them with effect from 2024. Why not with immediate effect? The reason is very simple. Because they take money for passing people. They must be waiting for the people to whom we have taken the money and bribe. Let's pass them, and then next year they will decide this thing. Why they have not started immediately DGCA to take action? All over the world, no country does all these things by communication ministry or inexperienced pilot people testing the pilots for radio telephone exam. If this is the state of affairs of aviation in India, you can imagine how safe we are. Young pilots, they spend tons of money, they take loan, they do good training, they go to all the institutions and all that, and they come out. Instead of, a pilot is going to make a mistake. There are chances, no, groundman cannot make a mistake in landing or takeoff. If the pilot will do it, if he has made a mistake, find out the reason. The International Civil Aviation Organization has printed a book known as Investigation of Accidents. The preamble of that report is, all accidents should be investigated for the purpose of finding out what is the reason the pilot had to make mistake at this incident, and not for any punitive purpose. It should be only done to investigate so as to avoid such incidents in future. But what we do is we first take the punitive action and we don't care for the improvement in our aviation safety and all that. Pilots are suffering today. Many pilots, they put them up. Sometimes they suspend the like 5 years, 3 years, 1 year. It's all the whims and fancies of the Director General of Civil Aviation. No, the beauty is of this bill is, new bill which they are going to introduce is, this amount of 1 crore is negotiable and compromisable with the Director General of Civil Aviation. They'll compromise. How much money you give me? Okay, I'll reduce the fine and all that. You give me this much of money. You can see this is the state of our bureaucrats. One of the historian, Guha Rai, he has mentioned that these bureaucrats, they have no knowledge to run the country, but they are slave to the political masters. They interpret rules for them to make money. And they work as slaves to the police just to get 5-year extension or plum posting. Our former Chief of Navy Staff has given an article in the newspaper which I'll quote you. He said, when an IAS officer blames political interference for systematic shortcoming, then his own constraint, he is right. And this historian Ramachandra Guha said, too many Babus spend years in service lobbying for post-retirement sinecures, cultivating their political bosses in the hope that this will assure them 5 more years. This is the state of affairs. And also he said, in the end, the IAS needs to demonstrate rational self-restraint, and one wonders when a cabinet secretary will have the courage and vision to tell his political master that bureaucrats have inflicted enough damage on Air India. Let us now hire professionals for this job. This is the opinion of the professional, former Chief of Navy Staff. They give but nobody cares. Nobody wants to improve the aviation. He said, let it keep on going. If there's crash, they'll pay the compensation. We don't care to improve the aviation safety. I can quote many more incidents where it shows the incompetence of our people who are investigating accident. The only suggestion we can recommend to the government of India is to hire professionals, to take professionals in the field of aviation who have enough experience of flying, investigating accident, and they should control these incident and accident for improvement of safety in future so that such incidents do not occur in future. But that thing is not coming up. I have tried to contact our Honorable Minister of Aviation, but he had no time to give us to listen to us. Maybe for he is too busy. What we want to do is we want to suggest a method how to improve the safety of aviation in India. There are many more things which the DGCA and ministry has to go through it to improve the aviation, and let's hope one day things may change. Our Honorable PM is trying to change a lot of things. He is aware of all these things, what is happening. And this bill is a total mess of the aviation law, which they are going to amend it in the Indian Aircraft rules. I can assure you, this will not help the aviation, but it will help the babus in making their money. That is the sorry state of aviation in India. Why they don't want to, why they, in the last Calicut crash where people die, why they didn't want to hold a judicial inquiry? In the past, even small incidents and all that, they put a judicial inquiry, where professionals also come in, they give their opinion also in the investigation. But this time they wanted to close door investigation so that nothing should come on the government or air traffic control. Suppose I check a pilot, I've been an instructor examiner, I find he's not up to the mark. What we do is, we put him off flying, we give him ground training, we give him simulator training, we give him one or two more road check, do the counseling and then release him. Can the DGCA tell me what has he gained by enhancing the punishment from 6 months to 12 months, suspending the license? Keeping off the roads is different, suspending the license, and they endorse the license immediately to show that how powerful they are. They are not powerful. They are corrupt babus. And these babus have no experience, sir. I can tell you that. Our aviation is not in a proper state of affairs. It is high time, right type of people should stand up. They should, DGCA has a department known as Flight Inspection Directorate. May I ask them how many times they visited the flying clubs? May the basic training starts for the pilot. What improvement they are suggested in the flying club? And the senior pilots who are from the airline, what improvement they are suggesting to the airline? To suspend the license immediately? They don't have the guts to tell DGCA suspending the license does not serve any purpose. Because they're scared. They are scared of the babus. Because babu can throw him out of the DGCA. I think we have discussed enough in this series. We may discuss more incidents and only pray to God, good sense to prevail in our good country to improve the safety of passengers, aircraft and aviation in our country. In the end, I just want to request our Director General of Civil Aviation, in case of pilot calling a person in the cockpit and Air India suspending his license for his flying for 6 months, and you enhanced it to punishment by suspending the license for 1 year. So I would like to inform you, this pilot, the person who was allowed to enter the cockpit was the Indian Air Force pilot in uniform with the ID card hanging on her chest. She is lady pilot, she is helicopter pilot flown in the Leh area, as per my knowledge. Captain, after satisfying and knowing the person fully, he called her in the cockpit. And one of your crew member, I don't know who reported to you that he allowed a person in the cockpit, which is a violation of your rules. These cast iron rules does not bring safety to aviation. And they have been compromised in many cases in DGCA. I can quote you 100 cases. Now this pilot who was invited her, there was no threat to the security. And you give responsibility to the captain for security and safety of passenger, aircraft and crew members, and you don't trust him that he satisfied himself to allow an Indian Air Force pilot to enter in the cockpit in uniform with the ID displayed. These caste rules should be not applied that seriously. And I would like to know, by enhancing the punishment from 6 months and suspending his license for 1 year, sir, what have you gained? How have you improved the safety and security of the aircraft, crew and passengers? Instead of counseling a pilot, Okay, look, these are the strict rules, we don't permit you. Maybe he's not aware of your AIC. Make him aware. Give him a counseling, teach him the rules and procedures and all that. And you can issue a light warning that in future, please don't do it. But I suspending the license, I don't find any reason for you to suspend his license for 12 months. You are not improving the security and safety of aircraft. May I know, sir, who has advised you? How you have carried out the investigation? Who were the witnesses? Who has reported this incident? We would like to know their qualification. And were you recommended by the investigator to suspend the license for 1 year, or you are done of your own? Sir, I want to ask you, suppose two pilots who are flying the aircraft, they become unconscious due to some reason or some gas or some violation. They become unconscious. And there's a passenger who is a pilot in some other airline is flying on board. If he comes and takes over the control and land the aircraft safely, he has to take a permission from DGCA before taking over the controls of the aircraft? No. If that is allowed, and you permit a joint secretary to enter in the cockpit, what reasons the joint secretary has to enter the cockpit? Is the joint secretary taken permission from the DGCA to enter the cockpit before the flight? Or you made a wild rule in AIC that any officer of Ministry of Civil Aviation above the rank of Joint Secretary can enter the cockpit? So these cast iron rules does not bring any merit to the security and safety of aircraft crew and passengers. I wish a good sense to prevail, and you recommend counseling of this pilot and let him start flying. He will be more dedicated, more careful in future about safety and security of aircraft crew and passengers. I only have to say that I've been flying for the last 35 years. I know many cases where even passengers get unconscious because of some heart attack and all that. We announce any doctor on board. And the doctor, if there's any doctor, he takes care of it. We carry an emergency medical kit on board also. Suppose a pilot becomes unconscious and you want some doctor to go inside, he has to apply for a permission to DGCA before entering the cockpit. Let's not go by these cast iron rules which you have made it in AIC. Thank you very much, sir. God bless our airline. Thank you very much for listening to me. God bless all of you. Bharat Mata ki Jai. Vande Matram. Bharat Mata ki Jai. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you very much for listening. God bless.